Every time you pay cash for a coffee, part of that price is quietly going into someone else's frequent flyer account. Not because you're a member, because somebody else is, and the store already built their reward into what you paid before you ever reached the counter. That's not a metaphor. It's how the card system actually works, and almost nobody who uses it every day understands the mechanism underneath. Here's the setup. Every time a store takes a credit card, the bank that issued the card charges the store a fee, called an interchange fee, or a swipe fee. It's usually a bit over 2% of whatever you just bought. On a basic card, it's smaller. On a premium rewards card, the one with airport lounge access and a fat sign-up bonus, it's bigger, sometimes close to 3%. That extra percentage point is quietly funding the miles, the cashback, the lounge visits. Somebody has to pay for those perks, and it's not the bank eating the cost. It's the merchant on every single swipe. Merchants don't eat it either. In almost every state, they're legally barred from just adding a surcharge for card users, so they do the only other thing available. They raise the price of everything for everyone and fold the fee in, which means your coffee costs more whether you tap a premium rewards card, a basic debit card, or hand over a $5 bill. The fee never shows up on the receipt. It's just baked into the number at the top. A big box chain can push back on the rate a little or absorb it in a thinner margin spread across thousands of stores. A corner grocer can't. For a small business running on a margin of a few percent to begin with, an interchange fee eating 2 to 3% of every card sale isn't a rounding error. It can be most of the profit on that sale, which is exactly why small business groups have lobbied against these fees for years with basically nothing to show for it. Picture an ordinary $100 grocery run. Pay with a premium rewards card, and the store quietly hands close to $3 of that straight to the bank that issued the card, before it ever touches inventory, wages, or rent. Multiply that by every card swipe in the country, every single day, and it stops looking like pocket change. In 2025, those fees added up to $198.25 billion, according to the Nielsen report, the card industry's own data source. A new all-time record, up more than $10 billion from the year before. Go back to 2009, and the total was $62.1 billion. The number has more than tripled in about 15 years, and the average rate on Visa and MasterCard credit swipes has climbed from roughly 2.02% in 2010 to 2.36% now. That's not inflation catching up. That's the fee itself getting bigger, year after year, quietly, on a receipt you never see it on. And it isn't like this everywhere. Debit cards run through the exact same networks, and back in 2011, regulators actually capped what big banks can charge on debit swipes, around 21 to 24 cents a transaction. That's why debit fees nationally added up to only $38.7 billion last year, against $148.5 billion for credit, even though people swipe debit cards constantly. The one time this fee got regulated, it dropped. Credit cards were left alone, and this is what left alone grew into. So here's the part that should actually bother you. If everyone pays the same higher price regardless of how they pay, but only some people get miles back for it, who is actually funding the rewards? A Harvard Business School study published this year set out to answer exactly that, and the math is not subtle. Interchange fees move roughly $30 billion a year from cash and debit users to credit card rewards users. Cash payers lose the equivalent of about 96 basis points of purchasing power on every transaction they make. Premium credit card holders gain roughly 59 basis points. Somebody's loss is quietly funding somebody else's gain at the register, not in some disclosure you'd ever be handed. The truth is, this isn't random. It's regressive in the specific economic sense. Money flowing from people with less to people with more. The same researchers found $9.2 billion a year moves specifically from households earning under $150,000 to households earning above that line. And that tracks with who actually carries which card. A Federal Reserve survey found households earning under $25,000 pay in cash roughly a quarter of the time. Households earning over $150,000 pay in cash about 9% of the time. They're the ones swiping the premium card, collecting the miles, boarding the plane early, which means the person paying cash because they don't trust themselves with a credit line is subsidizing a stranger's business class upgrade. Not metaphorically, structurally. Every single time either of them checks out. This isn't some fringe loophole either. Premium rewards cards, the ones charging merchants the steepest fees, made up just 15% of credit card spending back in 2006. By 2022, that share had grown to 60%. The system didn't stay a niche perk for frequent flyers. It became the default, which means the subsidy running underneath it got bigger every single year, without anyone voting on it or even being told it was happening. Added up at the household level, and the Merchants Payments Coalition puts the total cost of swipe fees at over $1,200 a year for the average American family. Not one bill you'd notice, but shaved off in cents and dollars, purchase after purchase for an entire year. Here's the thing that makes this different from a normal hidden fee. You can't opt out of it by changing how you pay. Paying cash doesn't protect you from the markup. The store already priced in the fee whether or not you personally generated one. Switching to debit barely helps either, since debit's regulated rate still gets folded into the same shelf price built around the credit card average. The only way to come out ahead in this system is to be the kind of customer who both qualifies for the best rewards card and pays the balance off in full every month, collecting miles that someone else is quietly funding. Carry a balance on that same premium card, and the math flips entirely. The interest you're charged usually dwarfs whatever the miles were worth, so you end up funding the system twice, once at checkout and once again on your statement. Miss either condition, carry a balance, or not qualify for the premium card at all, and you're paying the tax with none of the rebate. It's worth asking who actually pockets that fee once it leaves the register. Not the store. Not entirely the card network either. Visa and MasterCard mostly just run the rails and take a small cut for themselves. The bulk of the interchange fee goes straight to the bank that issued the card, the one mailing out the reward statement every month. Which means your bank isn't handing you free travel out of generosity. It's handing you a cut of money it already collected from a merchant, who already collected it from every customer who walked through the door, including the ones who never see a mile of it. This has actually started drawing real attention in Washington. In January 2026, Senators Durbin and Marshall reintroduced the Credit Card Competition Act, which would force banks to offer merchants a competing network to route transactions through, instead of just Visa or MasterCard, on the theory that competition would finally pull the fee down. President Trump endorsed it too, calling swipe fees an out-of-control ripoff. The credit card industry is reportedly spending upwards of $200 million fighting it. Nothing has actually capped these fees yet. The number just keeps climbing, and the fight over who gets to keep collecting it is still going, quietly, in a Senate committee room most people have never heard of. So next time someone hands over their rewards card at checkout and jokes about getting points for it, remember what that actually means. It means someone else, standing in line behind them or in front of them, just paid slightly more so those points could exist. The system doesn't ask permission. It doesn't show up on anyone's receipt. It just quietly moves money from the people paying cash to the people collecting miles, one swipe at a time. And almost everyone standing at that register has no idea which side of the transfer they're actually on.